I hope you enjoyed going through all the information in the previous video. It has a truckload of very valuable information that is very relevant to any type of accounting, tax preparation company or individual of any size. But there's one thing that you might notice that I had not mentioned through that entire hour and 30 plus minute video. And I mentioned nothing about tax laws, or rules and regulations, or how to fill out forms. Now there's a good reason for this. It's because tax laws are only part of the game. If you want to just work for someone else and fill out tax forms, that's all you really need to be concerned about. But when you're in business and you're trying to make a living and you're trying to service your customers, tax law is just a puny little component to all the things that you need to be aware of. And yet, tax law can dominate your every waking thought. But that is something we should be talking about, so let's talk about it. Tax law. I think that you'd agree that when talking about taxation overall, it's extremely complex. It's filled with wonderful little nuances and exceptions, and there's variations on themes, and there's interpretations, and you name it. And despite promises to the contrary, and all the hypes that are going on through Congress and the administration at this time, although I have to admit they'll eventually come to some form of a compromise, but I seriously doubt that our tax law is going to get a whole lot simpler. I've had to deal with most 1040 related items over the last 16 years, and I've had to deal with all filing statuses, even qualified widower. I've dealt with all types of things associated with sole proprietorships, including single-member LLCs, and with rental properties, of course, or rental as far as land with the gas lease. I've dealt with royalties, and of course dealt with pass-through income from S corporations and trusts. I, of course, have a PETN, an EFIN, part of the CAF unit, and I'm part of the annual filing season program. Here's my PETN account and my continuing education for 2017 and for 2016. I know I'm going to get into trouble saying this, but I happen to be a big believer in the annual filing season program. I realize there's a court case going on about this, and I realize there's a lot of people that are against the idea. I don't know all the particulars, but I'm a big believer in this because, first of all, it confirms people are doing continuing education, which is something you have to continuously do. But in addition to that, it also requires you to submit to the rules and regulations associated in Circular 230, which I also think is very important. I want to just clarify my goals and my reasoning for doing this entire production. I want to get involved with a business whereby I am not a jack of all trades. I want to have the freedom to stop doing 100% of the work 100% of the time. Frankly, there's too much to do in this industry for one person to handle everything. I'd like to continue servicing my customers. I have a nice customer base of about 140 active people. I'd like to continue servicing them. But I'd also like to focus. I'd like to get focused on doing higher ticket work, but also working with customers on another level. I enjoy working with people, despite the hassles you run into with tax season. The truth is, when you connect yourself with some good customers, this industry is very rewarding. And quite frankly, one of the things you need to learn in this industry is to fire the customers that aren't doing you any good, which is something I've had a hard time doing. It's always difficult to say no when someone asks you to do something for compensation. But on the flip side, I can note a number of instances when I should have said no, and I would have saved myself a lot of frustration. But nonetheless, I want to continue servicing my customers. I want to be able to find some new customers, and I also want to be able to work with customers on an educational basis and a marketing basis. You make money from bringing new customers in, finding new clients. And I want to focus on that type of thing and have help with the other end. I want to be able to explore other areas. And I want to be able to expand, like I've been talking about. I would just like to be able to expand into other aspects of the industry. Tax resolution is one of the things I've mentioned to you, which is a very fascinating field if you get the right customers. I've had a number of different marketing connections with that I'd like to link up with, and I'd like to get working on some of these things. I'm looking for someone who is really interested and is going to benefit from what I have to offer. If you're just looking for somebody to fill out a bunch of forms, I'm not the person you want to deal with. Entrepreneurship and owning a small business can be an incredibly rewarding and profitable experience in more ways than one. But it's also a terrible intimacy when your business drags behind you like the heavy chains Jacob Marley was forced to bear throughout eternity. You can literally drown in the details of your business by working so hard in your business that you have no time to work on your business. I'd like to talk to you further about this. I've got no problem talking on the telephone or in person, but I don't want to play phone tag. So what I've done is created a contact form, which you can access on this page by simply clicking this link. And here's the contact form. If you fill this out completely and go ahead and send your message to me. If you prefer, you're welcome to use the email that I enclosed with my letter. Either way is okay, and we can arrange a time to either talk on the phone or to meet in person. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll talk to you soon.